Greetings, teammates. I pray you are well. This is Tim Morton with Southeast Michigan FCA, and welcome to another Testimony Tuesday, where we try to provide a platform for others to share their powerful stories of transformation. You know, every story has a hero, a villain, a victim, and a guide. And Jesus Christ is really, of all time, the greatest hero maker. And boy, we have enough villains and victims out there, and we need more hero makers. And I'm sure you would agree with me on that. And today we have another hero maker that we're bringing on. His name is Mike Archer. And Mike and I have had a relationship probably since December of 2021. He's a father, a husband. He's an athlete. His whole family are athletes. And it's really an interesting story of how God wove our stories together. So I want to bring him on so you can meet him. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Great. Thanks for coming on with us today. And can you share a little bit about the driving force behind why you reached out to me in December of 2021? And what led us to a meeting there at Panera Bread on Baldwin Road?
Yeah, no problem. I was introduced to another Fellowship of Christian Athletes staff member in Ohio, Rye, and by my brother, and got to meet him. I think it was like around Thanksgiving of 2021, and thought it sounded like a really interesting organization. I wanted to know more about it and what might be possible for me to get involved in Michigan. And so he connected me with you, obviously, and that's how we ended up with that first meeting. But like the driving force, the motivation behind it was I wanted to find a way to work with people and basically be a witness for God, so that we, here in the United States, here with people that we interact with every day, people in our community, and find a way to make an impact through an organization that was already established out there.
Yeah. And I know after we sat down, I was pretty impressed with your background. You're a details person, and you're in a very leadership role, husband, father, leading your family, leading your children. I know you want to set a godly example for them, and you certainly do that. I was just really impressed with the thought, I was going to recruit you to come on to our leadership board just because of the skill sets that you have. And, you came on and you into one of our board meetings and you experienced that. We reconnected again, and you said, man, I really want to be in it. I want to kind of be on the front lines of it. So we were just beginning our character coach initiative and putting this empowered volunteer opportunity out to men and women that were interested in wanting to serve a team and a coach. And we just so happened to be developing some ministry up in Ortonville, Brandon. And man, you just said yes to diving into a situation where you didn't have any relationships. And I can remember sitting in that, it felt like a closet that we were in that one day with the head coach, JV coach, the freshman coach, and just kind of casting out this vision of what it could look like. And I know you saw it too in the demeanor of the head coach, Mark, and just what he was seeking. And can you share a little bit about your experience of diving into that and how God has moved in that?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, Tim, I got the opportunity to be a character coach, working with Brandon High School basketball team, and I didn't really have any idea what to expect, what was needed, where to participate, and I think the cool thing about FCA is the opportunity to have some tools, have some resources, some starting points. With the character coach initiative, I was able to basically work with that team on a few short, like the second half of their season maybe, and have a number of meetings with them after practices and just talk about some core values which was a really cool thing, starting to build those relationships with the players, with the coach. I also ended up taking those character coaching discussions and talks over to the sport that my kids and I participate in, the Ninja Warrior sport. And so we did, for a number of sessions last year in 2022, we did a number of character coaching sessions there as well, talking about core values of family and trust, and relying on others, and how big, how much of an impact that means. Why do you do sport? What motivates you? And so that was a very cool opportunity to start to build those relationships. I think the coolest thing that came out of that effort and that Brandon High School basketball coaching was I was able to form a relationship with the head coach, and we ended up meeting on a regular basis for probably close to a year in the end, 9 months to a year, and had the opportunity to walk through the Gospel of John together, which is an amazing chance. And I was just looking in John chapter 20 today, and I forgot to grab my Bible before I sat down here. But in John chapter 20, at the end, it basically says, these things were written so that you may believe who Jesus was and believe in him. Mm-hmm. And so what a cool what a cool opportunity it was to walk through that with somebody who hadn't taken the time to sit and read through and walk through the book of John before. And that's a book of the Bible that was specifically written so that we may know who he is. And that's exactly the type of opportunity that, I was hoping for. I think I didn't know I was hoping for, but I think God was leading me to through this work.
Man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you saying yes to that and stepping out in faith and not knowing what's going to happen. And I remember all the conversations we were having along the way and saying, here's what God's doing here, and God's stirring in him, and how he sees a change in himself as a husband and a father also. And, and you're not a basketball guy, you're just someone that said yes to say, I want to make a difference in the life of another. And the great connector that sport is. And FCA has some amazing resources, but resources are only as good as the people that utilize them. So our greatest resource is the Word of God. And what better place to begin with someone on that journey of truly knowing who Jesus is the book of John. So I really appreciate your faithfulness in that. And I really enjoyed my time with the Ninja Warrior coaches and you, and just kind of diving into that environment. And what I was so inspired by, and maybe you can relate on this a little bit too, is just the tight-knit community that they are, because it is a very unique sport. And not only that, but the young people that are actually doing the coaching. These are not your wily veteran people. These are people that have spent a lot of time in the gym. They love it. They have a passion for it. But now they have to be able to lead others and guide others, and be that hero maker that we've been talking about. So can you share just a little bit more about the Ninja Warrior environment, and kind of maybe where your own family, why you guys explore it and compete in it, and maybe what you see as a vision of what God can do in the midst of it?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, my kids and I all do Ninja Warrior training. So if you've ever seen the show American Ninja Warrior, it's that same idea, obstacle racing, usually in a gym or that sort of thing, with pads underneath you instead of water. But there's a lot to the sport that leads you to fail, and then eventually you keep sticking with it, you keep getting back up, and you succeed. And so, like, as a father, I love seeing that and instilling that in my kids, because that's such a key part of life, right? Failing over and over again and sticking with it. And you have to know, like, what's my purpose? Why am I here? And so for me, as I've thought through that question or that topic of why I'm here, what's my purpose, over the last several years, especially, God has really impressed on me that my purpose should be to, number one, to glorify him, as we know, but to spread his good news, to spread his gospel, to people ultimately. And so what are the avenues, what are the platforms, what are the places and people that he's enabled, that he's given me to do that? And so I think the ninja community, like you said, is a tight knit community to start with. There's a lot of relationships. People start out cheering for each other and encouraging each other. And so having the opportunity to work with coaches at the gym we go to in Fenton, and a lot of the other people there, the athletes there, has just been a cool. It's been a cool chance. I already know them. They're my friends. They're my ninja family, right? Mm-hmm. And so having the opportunity to share in this journey with them, I guess, as well as a Christian, has just been a real blessing. I do think that God is opening doors there. I don't know what that looks like exactly yet, but I do think he's opening doors there for me to continue to work in that area and, be a witness to more people through that avenue and through that relationship. But I think the biggest thing that God has torn, the biggest wall has been torn down in my life and in my mind over the last 3 or 4 years has just been some of that awkwardness or apprehension for sharing my faith. And so just going into a situation like high school I've never walked into before, or a basketball practice I never walked into before, and saying, hey, I'm here with a Christian organization. So that wall is torn down. That the reason I'm here at some point is to talk to you about Christ, and just not caring what people think of me because I'm talking about Christ is, like I said, a big wall that's kind of been torn down in my mind and my life the last few years, and just want to use those opportunities as often as God puts them in my life.
Amen. And man, that's super powerful, man, to just the way you framed it, tearing down the wall and stepping out in faith with no fear, not worrying, what can man do to me? If this God put this calling on your life and he's giving you these pathways, he's uniquely gifted you, and you have these communities. How are we making him known where we're at? And I just want to thank you so much for your faithfulness. This is a great story that has many chapters to be written. Wherever that is, I know when the timing is right, to make a move, you're going to be willing to, because of what has happened in the past, you're going to be willing to step forward in it. And I just want to, I'm excited for what the Lord is going to do in that. And I just want to thank you for who you are, what you stand for, your willingness to be that amazing example for your family, because I know that this is something generational that you want to continue to pass down. And so we need more fathers and husbands like that. And so just thank you again. And I can't wait to have the first Ninja Warrior huddle. I can see it. I have a vision for it. And FCA is not afraid to go there, brother.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you again. And I'm going to close this out.
Thanks, Tim.
Yes. Well, I pray you were inspired by that. I know I certainly am. And that's what this is all about. Anyone can be a hero maker if they're willing to be used, step out in faith. And we love to create this platform to get those to share. So thank you again, Mike. If you're a man or a woman who would love to be an empowered leader like Mike, we would love to have that conversation with you to explore what that could look like. But until we meet again, this is Tim Morton with Southeast Michigan FCA, where our mission is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church.